Hi everybody, I'm Audrey Marine and this is my 6th episode of Flosstube. Today is August 26th, 2023, and I have a lot of stuff to talk about. I've done a lot in the last 3 weeks since I talked to you guys. I made a couple trips with the family, with Ryan and the kids, and made some purchases, and my mom gifted me some things, and I had some interesting finds at an antique store. And I've got a couple little finishes and some progress on a couple other bigger projects. So we'll get into that. And I will start with the progress that I've made simply because I have them ironed and nicely laid out here, and I just want to be able to move them so I can get to this other stuff. So in April, mid-April, I started working on Spring Quaker by Lila's Studio. I got this pattern from Always in Stitches in Noblesville, which is probably the closest LNS to me, and it's still like 40-45 minutes away, but that's not so bad because it's far enough away that I can't go there every day and spend money. So I got this about a year ago. I started working on it in April. I had found the Huga Stitcher around that time, and I saw that she was working on it, and I was like, hey, that looks familiar. Oh, wait, I have that pattern. So I got some fabric, and I got the called for colors, but then also this pattern, it calls for a lot of overdyes, but it also calls for some DMC. But I chose to use the called for overdyes, but instead of the DMC, I wanted to choose more overdyed thread. I just really like the look of the variegation, and so I selected some, and I'll get into my selections here. But this is the progress that I have. I'm almost done. I was working on this last night, and I was like, oh, I can work some more hours on this tonight, and then I'll wake up early and I'll finish it tomorrow before no, I'm not gonna do that. It's just gonna be what it is, and you guys can see that I'm almost done, and then next time you'll see that I am done, because I'm gonna finish this today or tomorrow. I just wanna get it done. I only have the rest of the white border around the basket, and then the basket itself, and then down here in the corner, above that V, there should be a little bumblebee, like these ones over here. There should be a bumblebee over here hanging out. So I really don't have that much to go. And I think 4.5 months that I've put into it is not so bad, considering I've done a lot of littles, a lot of smalls in that time as well. And then I've worked on some other larger projects-ish. So it's kind of taken away from this. But I didn't want to get burnt out, because honestly, even yesterday I was working on this. I put in a lot of hours on this yesterday, and I was getting really tired of that basket. It is so pretty, but you know, it's like the same thing over and over and over again. And so it gets a little tiring, but I do like this. I do really like this. And I'm glad that I like it so much, because you know, you put time into something and it's, I don't know, and you realize you don't really like it as much as you thought you did. So I wanted to talk about this chart a little bit. I mentioned this on an earlier episode when I was talking about this. This chart has a few issues, I will say, and maybe later editions, it's all been corrected. The corrections that you need, if you have this same edition that I have, are on Lila Studio's website. But it is a little frustrating when you go through, like this bunny holding the carrot. There's no orange on the chart. And there's no orange on the color list. And then also these pink flowers here, the petals are not on the chart, nor is the pink on the color chart. And there are some other little things. And then as you go through, you're stitching things on the chart, and then you look at this model and you're like, wait a minute, that's not even on the model. Like there's a chimney missing on a model, and there's some other little things, and one of these petals is clipped, and I don't know. So I would say overall, I really like the pattern. I really like the design. I'm gonna love the finished product, but I'm not super stoked about this pattern, right? Like this product here. So, but I like my overall product. It was just a little frustrating because I was going through and I got all the variegated that I need. I got all the classic colorworks that I needed. And then for these DMC, I chose colors. And then I get stitching into it. And then, for example, I get to the carrot and I realize I don't have an orange. And this is when I was starting my collection of variegated thread. So it's not like I had a whole wall of everything. And so I was like, well, I guess I get to order an orange. And then I was going through the pattern and I realized that, oh, I need a pink too, a pink that I like for these. So it was a little frustrating. But I do like it. She came out with, I think it was just earlier this year for market. She came out with a summer Quaker that's really cute. It's got like crabs and lobsters and seashells and stuff on it. It's really cute, but I don't think I'm gonna stitch it. I know how much time went into this one. And that one I think is perfect if you live seaside or if you've got that sort of aesthetic in your home. I think it would work really well. This one is generic enough. And right, it's not seasonal, even though it says no matter how long the winter, spring is sure to follow. I don't think it's seasonal. I think it's an all-round sort of thing, right? And this is 40 count, and I used 1 strand of overdyed cotton on this. This is 40 count. Let me check my notes to make sure. Heartland by Picture This Plus. That's what I chose. Like I said, I started this almost 5 months ago, purchased the fabric even longer ago, so I didn't quite have it memorized. But I made a lot of notes today. I've learned my lesson. But that's coming along really nicely. I will say the basket, the center basket, all of that was done in about a week. There were a couple days that I didn't stitch on it in that week, but it was like a, Friday to Friday sort of situation. Because I took this with me on our last trip. We went up to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin last weekend, and I took this with me. I did also take one other project, but I ended up not touching it, which was probably for the best. I just wanted to put lots of time in on this one. But yeah, so the basket was done in a pretty short amount of time, which was great because, you figure it took me 4 months to do that whole border. And I was like, oh God, how long is the center basket going to take me? But once I started on it, I was like, oh, this is going along pretty quickly. So it was nice. So I'll just show you the threads here. So like I said, some of these are called for, some of these are not. Let's see. These ones I chose on my own, the white and the gray. This Queen Bee, and these are all classic colorworks. I just kept it simple. Classic colorworks was what was called for the overdyed, so I figured for my substituting on the DMC side, I will choose classic colorworks as well. Just keep it simple. So Queen Bee is what I chose for the yellow. I think I would have liked it if I had gotten something a little more golden, a little more orangey, darker, but it works. Not redoing it now. Let's see, what else was my choice? Hickory sticks. This was a gray used on some of the little houses, the rooftops. This cocoa bean, same deal, some of the house elements. And then this Blushing Beauty is what I chose for those carnations up in the corner that were not charted. But like I say, the corrections are on her website. And actually there was one other thing that I wanted to show on this. So these medallions on the outside, there are actually 2 different browns. It is hard to tell here, but the medallions are done in 2 different browns. They're done in this roasted chestnut, Classic Colorworks roasted chestnut, which is a nice variegation. Here you can see there's like a reddish brown, and then there's more like an olive brown within the same thing. But then the other brown is Brandied Pears, and this is really pretty much just a reddish brown. So I used the specific brown that was called for each medallion, except this half medallion over here was supposed to be roasted chestnut as well, but I chose to do it in Brandied Pears because we've got a branded pair on each side then, because if you didn't do this one in branded pair, then there was only going to be a branded pair on the top, the bottom, and this side. And you know, I like things to be balanced. So that was just me being nitpicky. Plus I really liked the branded pair color. It's a beautiful reddish brown and I really like how it looks. So, you know, do what you want. And then I eliminated the butterflies just because I didn't like them. Also, one of the butterflies, the orange wasn't, you know. Anyway, so instead of the butterfly here, I put the year, 23. And then there's supposed to be a butterfly up here, but I made a little mistake. And I made this H and the G too high. So the butterfly wouldn't have fit even if I wanted to put it there. So I put this medallion here. And it's the same medallion that's over here. But I did them in, looks like 2 different browns. So, same medallion, 2 different browns. So, I'm happy with the changes that I made. You know, frustrations with the chart notwithstanding. So, I will finish that this weekend. And then I'll get to show you guys that finished product on my next Flosstube, which will be in 3 weeks. And then I think after that, yeah, I think I'll still be on. I got something going on at the end of October, and I think that throws off my schedule. But that's okay, because it's a retreat, and it'll be fun. And I finally got my plane ticket, Laura, so I'll send you that info. Let's see. Okay. So, as I say, we went to, the kids and Ryan and I went to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, to go to Road America, the racetrack that is there. And we spent a long weekend there. He works in motorsports. He works as a broadcaster. So we had to go there. Well, he had to go, but we like to go to Road America. It's a really great track. It's fun. Just walk around, do whatever. It's so easy. And the concessions are great because it's Wisconsin food. But also Elkhart Lake downtown, you know, I say downtown, it's like 4 restaurants and 2 shops. So like there's not a lot there. But the kids and I like to walk around and we eat too much ice cream when we're there. We get it from Gessert's that has been there for 100 years. And then we go to a couple other restaurants that we really like. But when we were there, we went into this little antique shop and I don't even know the name. It's like in the old railway station stop, that little tiny thing. If you've been to Elkhart Lake, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so it's this tiny little thing, and the back room is sort of a museum, I think. It's got like old artifacts, and then the front 2 rooms, barely rooms, are filled with antiques. And when we walked in there, we walked in and turned left, and then there's like that slightly larger room, but it's still smaller than this room. I saw this stack of shaker boxes, and I was so excited, and I was like, I gotta get that. I gotta get that. So I did. I got them. It's a set of 8, and I'll just pull these down. So cute. Set of 8, and the total cost, it worked out to less than $10 a box. So I don't know where these are made. I have no idea. When I was checking out, the woman told me, she was like, oh, you know, I went to Shipshawana where they make these. And I was like, oh, good, because I can't find any mark to let me know where they were made. And then she says, well, these were probably made in China. And I was like, why are you telling me that? But they seem very nice. I mean, they're not like LaHaye's or anything. They're not, and I don't think they're Amish made. But they're nice enough, and I figure this gives me an opportunity to try finishing things on box tops. And I thought for the price, if I want to use these as gifts or something, that would be great. There are a bunch of different colors. I've got yellow, blue, green. There's a natural, and then there's a burgundy. So, and they're all different sizes, and they nest within each other. So I do believe this was all one set that was made to be sold together, and they're cute. They're cute. So good find in Elkhart Lake, and that was like the day that we got there. I was so pumped. I was like, okay, well, we can be done now. And then so I spent the rest of the weekend, you know, hanging out with the kids. Ryan had to work a lot. And his dad was actually racing in 2 of the races there. Oh my God. And he survived and he didn't hit anything and it was fine. But holy cow. So we did that. Also within the last few weeks, we went to, we went to a couple different places. Oh, Morris and I, so not very far, but on August 11th, that was World Cross Stitch Day. So to celebrate, Always in Stitches up in Noblesville had a little shindig, and you got to buy a ticket so that they actually have room for you. And when I took Morris to Always in Stitches back in July, there was a gentleman there, Peter, and he was excited that there was a young boy who was excited about cross stitching and like, well, let's get him involved. And so he told us about the event that they were having for World Cross Stitch Day. And oh my goodness, Morris would not shut up about it after we left. He's like, can we go? Can we go? Can we go? And I was like, okay, well, let me see if I can find tickets. And where I'm on the computer, and I'm trying so hard to find tickets because their website's a little goofy, but I managed to find them through a link on Facebook. So I get these I pull up the page where you can get these tickets. And I was like, oh my God, Morris, they only have 4 spots left. Get my wallet. He's like running around trying to find my purse. And I was like, it's okay. It's not going to sell out like right now. Just go get my wallet. So I got the 2 tickets, and on August 11th, Morris and I went to Always in Stitches for World Cross Stitch Day. And the thing was supposed to start at 10:30, and we got there at like 10:35, and it was already full. Like, all the gals had already set up their spots and everything, and lights were out, and stands, and all these things. And I was like, oh my God, I thought we could be a little late, but I guess we needed to get there at like 10 to secure our spot. So Morris and I kind of got shoved in a little corner. They didn't quite have enough room. That was a little irksome, but it was fine because we just sat and we stitched for a little while, and then we got up and, you know, would walk around the shop and look at things, and we'd go back and stitch. And then we left to go get lunch. Then we came back and we sat and we stitched and we walked around and stuff. But in the very beginning, when you first get there was the woman who kind of, you know, said the welcome and thanks for coming, and we're gonna go around the room like in all those college classes, and hi, my name is Audrey and my major is this, and yeah. So, but Morris, it was nice. He very clearly said, I'm Morris and I've been working on linen, and all of the ladies were just like, ooh, I wish I knew that was going to happen, because I would have recorded it, because it was so loud. Everybody made that noise. Woo! And then one lady down at the end, she's like, and how old are you? And he said 9, and they were all like, oh. It was so funny. But he was totally prepared for this, because I told him, I said, you know, because when he was really excited about this, I said, you know, Morris, it's going to be like a lot of older ladies, and they're just going to want to like sit and talk to you and ask you questions because you're really cute and you're tiny and you stitch, and like that's what's gonna happen. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, then we'll go. But he really loves Brenda and Laura's Flosstube, so I mean, he will request it. It's so funny. And Rupert doesn't really care about watching Flosstube. He's like, oh. But I will tell you, Laura, I would tell you this in person, but I will forget by then. So Morris and I had one of your old episodes of Flosstube on, and Rupert was just kind of around. And I saw that you had a t-shirt on, Laura, and it said like 1992 and really big. But then you kind of sat back at one point, and we could see that it was an Indianapolis 500 shirt. And Rupert was like, oh, she's got an Indianapolis 500 shirt on. That's really cool. That's cool. I like that. And she likes blue and Star Wars. That's cool. It's like, so Rupert doesn't really care so much about stitching. Like, he's got the one project going on, and who knows if he'll finish it. But my God, Laura, he likes you anyway because of all the shared interests. Morris and I don't really care about Star Wars, and Morris doesn't really care about racing. But Morris just loves your Flosstube, you and Brenda. He thinks you're a hoot, and it's funny to see him get so excited about this. So it's wonderful. Anyway, so he was totally prepared to go to this party thing at Always in Stitches, and he did not want to leave. It was getting on like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was supposed to end at 4. I thought we were going to leave at about 1, and it's getting on 3 o'clock, and I'm like, Morris, I think we need to, you know, get home. And he's like, can we stay, please? I was like, okay, you requested meatloaf. If you want meatloaf, we got to drive all the way back home, which is a 45-minute drive. Plus, we got to go to the grocery store because I don't have stuff for meatloaf because you requested this morning. So we got to go. I don't want to eat at 7 o'clock at night. So I pulled him away at 3 o'clock. And he was already talking about next year and other stitchy parties and can we go? And anyway, so he's very excited, which is good. I didn't know if this was going to be something that was going to burn out. And if it does, it's okay. You know, he's 9. Things, you know, he might put it down for a couple years or a decade and then pick it up later. And it's fine. He's excited about it now, and that's exciting because it's not really the most expensive hobby. He's only picked out a few things, and it's good. So on that, at Always in Stitches, he picked out a couple things in the clearance bin, like my kid. I love it. He found this. This is Loohoo Stitches Winter Fling. He picked this out, and then he got the called for, and he's very excited because he was only ever getting the called for, which was all DMC for everything that he picked. But this one, he got to get a classic Colorworks, and it's Cupid, and his favorite color is red, and it's like a variegated red, and he's so excited. And then he also picked out this. This is Halloween Soiree Cat, and this is by Bendy Stitchy. I'd never heard of them, but he thought it was cute. He liked it. He was like, it's scary, but cute. And I was thinking, like you. So he got the called for as well. And then he picked out a piece of linen. I said, well, why don't you find, because all he had was Weigart Antique White, which is like pretty vibrant, and I didn't think it would work very well for this. I said, so why don't you pick out like a tannish, taupish color? And he did find something that he liked that would work for both of these. And it was a 32 count. So. Oh, and he said that he was like, Mom, let's do a stitch along. Okay, well, what do you want to do for a stitch along? And he decided to do winter. And so I said, okay, well, you are going to stitch winter with the called for threads on your taupe linen, tannish colored linen. So I'll pick out something completely different. And I think I'm going to go with like a green linen because I have some. I'll show you. And I'll pick out different threads, and that way we'll do stitch along together, but it'll, you know, we'll have 2 completely different projects at the end. All right, so I showed you Spring Quaker. I'm very close to a finish on that, and then I do actually have 2 more little finishes that I'll show you. So last time I showed you Keeper of the Pins. This is a book by Brenda Gervais, and it has half a dozen different littles in it. And last time I had shown this one, and now I put the beads on. I had to get petite seed beads. Got those, and then I did that one. But then I also did this guy. And this was supposed to have like a couple little stars up here, but I just wasn't digging it. So I didn't add those. And I don't think it detracts from it in any way. And I did not use the called for red for these. It was supposed to be DMC 22, if I remember correctly. And the kids saw it and they were like, that looks like tomato soup. And they like it, but I didn't like it. It was a little too muted and dull for me. And in the picture, it looks so bright. And so I wanted something bright. So I chose Ribbon Red by Classic Colorworks, I believe. So these are the 4 that I have done. And these buttons I actually purchased with Morris at Always in Stitches. They have these jars of buttons, and it's like 10 cents a button. So you can like revel through and pick out what you want. And then, so I had this in mind. So I figured I'd just pick some out, and they're really cute. And I was struggling with how I was going to get these buttons on in a straight line. And I think the instructions say to lay them out on your linen and then to glue them down, let it dry, and then sew them, but I didn't really want to use glue. So what I did was I put my fabric in a hoop. I stitched the little tomato and I had the fabric in a hoop, and I kind of laid out the buttons how I wanted, and then I moved them in the same order onto the table so that they would stay, you know, in the order that I wanted to put them on. And then I started on the back and just like made sure I was on the same row of linen, right? Does that make sense? And that way everything was pretty well in straight lines. So that's how I did that. Anyway, these are really cute. So Ma, you gonna finish these into little pillows for me, please? I got some fabric from a quilt shop in Holland, Michigan area. Laura recommended that store. I forget what it's called. Pressing Matters, that's what it's called. And so I think I'm gonna use, what do you think? Does that look good? I like that. Yeah, I think we might do that. I'm taking the kids to go see my mom next week. So she can sew things for me. She says she's been working on a lot of quilts and stuff lately. So busy. So this is, it's only 20 bucks. Get it. It's adorable. They go so quickly. Morris already stitched. He stitched the alphabet one. This one. And he did it in 3 days. Part of the reason that he did it so quickly was because he was working on it and he's like, when can I go to a stitchy shop? And I said, when you finish that. And then he buzzed right through it. And I was like, well, crap. Now I gotta take you to a stitchy shop. Where is the alphabet one? Oh, here it is. There. It's very cute. He stitched this and he calls his tomato Tom. He's like, I like Tom. And then my mom finished it into a pillow. So he puts like his stuffed turtle sleeping on his little alphabet pillow. It's so funny. Okay, and then the other thing that I started since my last Flosstube is Hands Across the Sea. This is one that I purchased just shortly after it came out. This is Hannah Campbell. I ordered it from the attic. I was so excited. I felt so fancy. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we had Flosstube on. We had Brenda and Laura's latest Flosstube on the other day. And they were talking about how they're so excited to go to summer school. And I was like, oh, I want to go to the attic. And Morris was like, me too, what's the attic? It was so funny. And so he has since learned what the attic is, and now he really wants to go. And so he's like planning his trip to Mesa, Arizona. All right. Well, so anyway, I ordered this from the attic. I love this chart. But, oh, the over one birds. Oh, I knew there was over one alphabet, but I did not realize that some of the animals were over one. And I think I still would have gotten it. It's such a beautiful chart. But boy, was it a pain in the patella. So this is what I have so far. I did get the linen from the attic as well. And they cut me a much larger piece. I think it was 23 by 24 inches. And I was like, I don't need it to be that big. And so I cut a strip off of it thinking that I would use that strip for something. No, I'm not gonna, what am I gonna use it for? And so I regret cutting it. I should have just left it. But I still have a large enough margin. It's fine. So this border, it has so many color changes. But I kind of like it. It keeps it interesting while I'm stitching it. You know, it's so easy to do like just a big field of one color, but it gets really boring. For me. It might go quickly, but it gets boring. Okay, this bird. Let's talk about this bird. He was a pain in the butt. He's adorable, but he's a pain in the butt. I was stitching him, and you know, you get to like his pink breast, and there's so many stitches in that little area, and they're all over one, and they just didn't want to sit well. And so I got done with the body of the bird, his belly and his back and his head. And I was looking and I was like, oh, it's so lumpy. And why is it like, well, because it's over one and it's on 45 count linen. But then I thought, well, you know, I've seen antiques in museums and they're a little lumpy and off kilter, a little wonky sometimes, but they're beautiful. But my concern was that because his belly and his back and his head were a little lumpy and weird, that the rest of my over one would also be wonky and weird. But then when I did his little legs and his tail, those are just single rows of over one, except for this longer tail feather here, I guess, is actually 2 rows together, 2 diagonal rows together. But those sat so nicely, so straight, that I'm not at all worried now about the over one in the letters, because this isn't dense stitching, right? These letters actually have spaces in between. Like this M, this left leg of the M, it's like it's two rows, but there is a row in between. There is a gap in between that is not stitched. So I'm no longer concerned about the over one on the 45 count legacy. But he was still a little poop to stitch. But then I stitched this guy and I was like, oh, it's so much easier. Easier to see, easier to stitch. This legacy linen is not my favorite. It's a really tight weave. So when it's all done, it's going to look amazing. But it's not as easy to stitch on as Zweigart. But it's very pretty. And this I did in about 5 days. 5 or 6 days? I know I did the top border in 4 days. That was kind of when I did 1 day's worth. I was like, okay, well, if I did this much in 1 day, then I should be able to do the whole top in 4 days. So I'm going to give myself a week. But then I actually did it in 4 days. So then I did all this. And I was going to work on this in Road America as well. But like I said, I just kept going with the spring Quaker. So as I said, this is 45 count legacy linen. This is Thai iced tea. When I called the attic to place my order, the fabric that I requested, which I think must have been a Zweigart base because it was a 46, they said they were out of. And I said, well, just give me, something, an equivalent. And they said, okay, well, we'll just send you I don't know. He said, I trust you. You guys know what you're doing, right? Yeah. So I'm excited to get done with Spring Quaker and then put more stitches in Hannah Campbell. And it's in my Stitch Folk bag. I love this bag. I want more. I want more. I was watching, I should not have been looking at people's posts and stories from summer school weekend because holy crap. I was like, I want to be there. But I remember, I think it was Just Quilty Stuff. On one of her stories, she posted a picture of some goodies that she got from summer school. And one of them was a Stitch Folk bag. And it was the freaking cutest thing I've ever seen. I'm like, I want that. But also, another thing is, Barry at Stitch Folk, she makes them so long, so tall. I love it because Hannah Campbell just drops right in, and I've got this linen in here, but it does fit very nicely. See, so there's no worry about getting the book caught on the zipper or anything. It's wonderful. I love this bag. It was pricey, but it was worth it. I can't sew, so, and she made this little applique tomato, and it's so cute. Yeah. So I keep watching Stitch Folk on Instagram to see if she's gonna, put out any more bags in the next couple months. But I'm sure she had to make a crap ton for summer school. She just got done with all those tomatoes because I only just ordered that at the end of June. So maybe she's tired. I don't know. Let's see. So I've only got those couple projects going right now. There were some that I started a few months ago that I have since abandoned because I realized I want to use different fabric. So we're going to use different fabric because I think I realized moving forward that anything I'm doing with cotton, I just want to use 40 count. I like 40 count. I like that I can just use one strand of floss. And while I've got the eyesight, I'm going to do that. And then for any of my larger samplers, the hats, I'm going to use 46 or 56 count. And I'm going to use the 103s. And that's just the way it is. That's what we're doing. That's what I like. I've found my wheelhouse and we're just gonna stick with that. So a couple things that I started on 36 are going to be abandoned but not gotten rid of because I've got Morris stitching on linen now and I don't know that 32 to 36 is that much of a jump. I don't expect him to be stitching on 36 at 9 years old, but maybe in 2 or 3 or 5 years or whatever, he might want to try it. And, you know, holding on to a piece of linen isn't going to take up much room, right? So that's just an idea that I had. Yeah. So it is almost September, which means it's almost sampler September. So I was thinking about some samplers that I wanted to start or wanted to buy or wanted to just, you know, kit up or whatever. So I'll have Hannah Campbell still going. I will. I'm not going to finish that this month. There's no way. But I do think once I'm done with Spring Quaker, I'm going to want to start another one just so I have a couple things going. I wanted to start Ruth Gibb, but I placed an order with Hobby House and it took a while to get here. And I was a little, why did it take so long to ship? But then Ruth Gibb wasn't in the box. So I sent an email that wasn't replied to. So then I finally called and I was telling the woman on the phone, I was like, well, I got everything else, but I didn't get Ruth Gibb. And she's like, oh, well, I think I can get it out today. And I was like, well, there's no rush. It's not like I have all this stuff to work on. I said, but I was just kind of bummed because I wanted to start it. And she's like, oh, well, we'll get it out today. I was like, okay. Anyway, she was nice. I don't know what her name was, but so I've got Ruth Gibb coming. I did get tracking confirmation. It's on its way. So I'll start that because I finished a red sampler and I showed you guys this last time, but I'm going to show you again. This is Elizabeth Wood. This is a Hands Across the Sea. This is a nice little red sampler. I did this on 56 count, Old Sheep by XJU Designs. And I gave myself probably too much of a margin here. I think this is a 3-inch margin. So I've got room, I think, for Ruth Gibb or something else over here. I'm not quite sure what I'm gonna squeeze over there. But this went pretty quickly. I did this in a few weeks. I was working on some other things in between. I think if I had committed to only working on this, then I could have done it in like a week and a half, 2 weeks. But this, even on this really light color, the 56 count, I needed natural light. I don't have an OT light or whatever you guys use. So I rely pretty heavily on, I just don't have a lot of lights in my house. That's an issue. So I had to rely on sunlight. And if we had rainy, gross days, which we have had a lot of, I just couldn't stitch on it. And then I couldn't stitch when we traveled on airplanes because the light just wasn't enough. Oh, but that reminds me. Oh, this is a great time to show this. So when we were at Road America, I said Brian's dad was racing in one of the series and giving everybody a heart attack. It was fine. He's fine. But his wife, my mother-in-law, Kim, she went and, I mean, they took the RV and the dog and everything. And holy crap. But she was telling me that she had to recently take her mother-in-law, who is 94, to the dentist. And she was like sitting there and like, you know, just waiting and wait. And she noticed that the dentist was wearing this like headlight thing. And she's like, I wonder if that would be good for like fine work. And so she was on Amazon looking at stuff. And she's like, well, I don't really want a headlamp. So she found a neck thing. And so she was going to buy it. And then she's like, oh, look at that. It turned on. I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry. So she bought 2 because she was like, I bet Audrey would like this too. Anyway, she's telling me this story and I was like, oh, please be one of those neckline things. And I was so excited because this is one of those things I want. It's like, you know, you don't really need it, but you definitely want it. Anyway, so I told Ryan, I was like, your mom gave me one of those neckline things. And he's like, oh, okay. Well, I'm excited. So this is the light. And as I showed you, it works. It's rechargeable. It comes with a little USB cord that you can just plug into one of your like phone charger blocks, right? Or into a computer or whatever. And I don't know how much she spent on this, but I don't think it could have been much. I bet it was $20 or so. But it's wonderful, and I cannot wait to take this with me. So this will allow me to, first of all, not have to like reach over the head of the person next to me on the airplane to turn my light on, but it will give me more direct light onto what I'm working on. Yeah, so I'm excited about that. So thank you, Kim. It's very nice. So, sampler September. I wanted to do another red sampler. I've got Ruth Gibb coming. Should be here. I would imagine I would get it by Monday. I hope. But Hands Across the Sea did release a new red sampler, and it's got like a chicken on it. And it's really pretty. This was just over the weekend that she released it. It's called Campbell Azzopardi, I think. I get all my Italian accents from Luca. Anyway. So that one's really pretty. I'm excited about that one. I'm going to have to order that. There are also a couple other relatively new releases from hats that I want to get. So I think I just need to call the attic and say, I need these and please send me the silks. So I'm gonna do that. Like, I need more crap. But I'm going to burn through them, right? So I'm trying to decide what my next red sampler is going to be. But while I'm waiting for Ruth Gibb, as I excitedly told, did I tell you guys last time? Yeah, I did. That I got into the Hobby House Needleworks hosted Great British Sampler Weekend Comes to America. Oh my gosh. So I got into that, and after you pay, and Nicola's got the rundown of everybody who's going, you get an invitation on Facebook to the private Facebook group for that event next October of 2024. So I've got a ways to wait. But she gifted us with a chart, and it's interesting because it's a very small sampler. It's got an alphabet, numbers 1 through 90, and then it's got it says love one another, and then another small alphabet, and then down at the bottom it's got some birds and a house, and it's got a border all the way around. But it is very simple. But I was reading through this because she sent us, you can get the link and you go to Hands Across the Sea and you have to type in a password and then you're able to download this thing. And so I was reading the information on it and I was like, oh, this is really interesting. What colors? And she was like, and I'm not going to give you any colors, so you have to choose your own. And I've already seen that I think at least 2 people on that Facebook group have already finished theirs. Holy cow. I haven't had time. And one woman chose to do like everything a different color. So like her I was one color and her J was another color. And I was like, I'm not doing that. And then I think the other one that I saw was all one color, I think. And I think that's what I'm going to do, right? It's so small. I can always do it again if I want to. But I'm going to use my 56 count Creme Brulee by Tabby Cat. I got this from Hobby House a while ago. It was one of the things that my mom ordered for me. Anyway, it's dirty and messy and yeah, I like it. So I think I'm gonna choose a really nice rich red to go on this. And I'm going to stitch, I think her name is Mary Hill. Yes, Mary E. Hill. I'm gonna stitch Mary Hill on this. And even though it's a private Facebook group and this is not a pattern that's released to the public yet, Nicola said that she is going to release it on a later date, but we are welcome to show our progress on this on our Flosstube and Instagram. So we just can't share the pattern, obviously. So this is, as I said, this is 56, and I thought this was gonna be 18 by 27, but I measured it and it's actually 19 by 34. So I did some math and I think I should be able to get 4 different pieces on this. So my plan, for this piece of fabric, and I'm not gonna cut it, I'm just gonna stitch and then measure a margin and stitch and measure another margin. But my plan is to stitch Mary E. Hill, which is rectangular, little rectangular thing. Mary E. Hill, and then the rose and the giant pear on 56, because I'm crazy. It's gonna be so tiny. And then below that, Florence Mary Dickinson, which is a larger one. And then below that, I think I'm only gonna have room for something like tall and skinny. So I think I'm gonna do Harriet Goddard. I think that's what I would do. It's got deer on it. I was telling my mom that I was on eBay looking at stuff I don't need. And I found an antique Scottish sampler and it was cute and I wanted it, but it went for like $500. So maybe we don't need to spend that much money. But it was really cute. But it had this deer on the bottom and it was a really weird looking deer. I told her it looked like a chihuahua with antlers. It was really funny, but I liked it. It was cute. But if I remember correctly, Harriet Goddard is the one with the 2 deer on the bottom. It's really cute. It's tall and skinny. So I think that's my plan, is to do Mary Hill, The Rose and the Giant Pear, just sideways, and then Florence Mary Dickinson, and then also sideways down here, Harriet Goddard. And that's the plan, but you know what happens with plans. We'll see. We'll see if it happens. So I've got that as an option for a bread sampler while I'm waiting on Ruth Gibb and before I order Carmel Azzopardi. What's interesting is that she seems to have an Italian last name, but the date on that one, I believe, is written in French, as is the date on Elizabeth Wood. But Elizabeth Wood, I think she completed that while she was in France. I think that's the deal. So like an English kid. But Boulogne-sur-Mer is actually pretty close to England. This makes sense. Okay. So let's talk about other samplers I have as options. Let's do that. A while ago, I bought this, Mary Ann Mingay. It's very pretty. I saw it online and I wrote it down on my wish list. Like, oh, I gotta get it. And then one time I was at Persnickety looking for something else and I happened to see it. And so I just grabbed it. Yeah. But this is not gonna be done in September. This is not even gonna be started in September because even though I have the fabric, which is 40 count light hazelnut by X2 Designs, I do not have the colors because it takes Soie d'Alger and Gloriana Silk and NPIs and Silken Color. It's not a ton of stuff. It's like not even 20, but still. So, and it's 268 by 300. That's the stitch count. It's not small, but it's so pretty. It's so pretty. Yeah. Actually, now that I think of it, I remember the day that I bought that, I had to go pick up Ryan from something, and so I started reading the info on Mary Ann Mingay that Teresa had included with it, and I think she said something about buying that one for $700. So now that I think about it, the $500 Scottish sampler was a pretty good deal. It doesn't mean I have the money, but food for thought. Okay. Let's see, some other samplers that I have sort of ready to go, kitted up. This is Marie Louise Perret. Mom inexplicably sent me this chart one time. I am not sorry. I love it. I didn't know it existed. Oh, actually, I did know it existed, Mom, because you sent it to me, and I was like, oh, this is pretty. I don't think I've seen this one. And then I went onto my 1, 2, 3 stitch wish list, and it was in there. So, good job. So I got the silks for that, and I have a crap ton of fabric, which you will see shortly. So I have things to stitch this on, and I have the silks. Another one that I have, I showed you guys this a while ago. This is the Alexander's of Linthrathen. This is a beautiful Scottish sampler. It's so weird, but I love it. And I have the silks. Pretty, pretty colors. So I love this red. What is this red? These boxes are Gutermann boxes. It's like an orangey red. It's 106. It's magnificent. I love it. These are Gutermann boxes. They're for Gutermann spools, but they fit the Auvera Soie 103s perfectly. And this lid is all the way down and they're wiggling. So there's no pressure on your spools if you care about that. Like, they're in there, but these don't like latch or anything. So the top can come off. Don't think you can just like throw this in a bag. But Mom bought me those. Mom buys me lots of stuff. I'm her only kid. Don't feel bad. But Mom, you bought me those, and I like them so much that I bought tiny ones. They're so cute. So these are the colors for another recent acquisition. This is Jane Thompson. This is an exclusive homespun needlework let's see. Got my notes. I want to get it right. Homespun Needlework Cross Stitch and Samplers. It's a private Facebook group, but you know, it has like 20,000 members. It's not an exclusive thing. You can request to join, and then you have to answer some questions like, what's your favorite designer and what threads do you like to use, or something like that. Maybe they've changed the questions since I joined a few months ago, but it's, you know, nothing difficult. So this is their latest exclusive. And it's only available for a few more days. So like, if you want, join the group right now and then go to Shepherd's Needle and you'll be able to purchase this. And there are tons of options. So you can get anything from like a low count Aida to 46. So I got 46 count linen, and I chose the 103s. And I will say I ordered within 10 minutes of the exclusive being available. So I did get mine pretty quickly. I think there are still some people waiting for theirs, even though this was made available for purchase on the 2nd of this month. But, you know, we've all got stuff to stitch. We can wait. There was one thing, though, that they sent me all of the 103s needed, except they didn't have 752, so they subbed in 50. And I had seen that this was done to someone else. I can't say done to someone else. It's not really an issue. But I actually had 752 kitted up with something else. And I checked, I compared 752 to 50. It's almost the exact same color. And since I have 752, I'm going to use 752 because that's what I'm going for. But if you get this set and you use the 50, it's not really going to look any different. And the fabric that it comes with is by, is it Needle and Flax? It is Needle and Flax. Yay, this is why I make notes. Needle and Flax, and this is Sleeping Bear. And it's a Zweigar base. So it's very pretty. And then also as part of the kit, I got this thread keep and, more importantly, corner gauge. I didn't have a corner gauge, so this is great. And I don't really care about using the thread keep, but I like that now I have a corner gauge. Super cute. So I can just pop this into a project bag or whatnot. So this one, it has this prayer on it, which is not my jam, but it's not a perfect reproduction. It is a, what'd she call it, reinterpretation of an antique sampler in her collection. So I feel welcome to change the wording here. And I think I'm gonna select a poem or a quote or something to go in that space. And actually, a couple weeks ago, we went, the four of us, to Cincinnati. We took the kids to Kings Island, and then we stayed overnight, and the next day we did the aquarium, and we went to a baseball game, and that was a story. But in between there somewhere, we went to Keepsakes. Well, I took Morris to Keepsakes. And when, God, we got there, and it's this cute little house, but it's like in a weird little spot of town. Like there's nothing there. And so we walk up, and Rupert stayed in the car and read his book and played on the Game Boy. And it was a nice day. It was like 72 and cloudy, so we just rolled down the windows and stuff, and he got to hang out there. He's like, I don't want to go in. I'm like, I don't blame you, kid. So Morris and I go up, and we get to the front door. It's in an old house. And we get to the front door, and there are like all these flowers and plants and decorations and stuff. But on the door is this big wooden cat decoration. It's like a big black cat. Kind of looks like a Halloween cat. And it's got a little collar on with a little charm, and it says 310. And Morris is like, Mom, 310. And I was like, yeah, I don't understand. That's not the address. And he's like, DMC? And I was like, oh my God, it's DMC 310. It's a black cat. I was flabbergasted that he got that, and I was very confused. So I felt a little stupid, but very proud of him for getting that. But anyway, we walk in, and this place is just like floor to ceiling stitched stuff. And it's an interesting system that they have. I'll call it that, a system. It was very overwhelming. And even though we were there for over an hour, I couldn't, it was hard to select anything. So Morris picked out a couple things, and I got one chart, but it was very overwhelming. Oh, and I have a point here that's going back to Jane Austen, but I'll just show you real quick. These are the things that Morris picked out. This was one that I had favorited on Etsy a while ago, and when he was looking for like simple things to stitch on linen, this was one that I suggested. And so when we found it there, I was like, let's just get it, and if you stitch it, great. If not, I'll stitch it. But then this was another one that he selected. So he loves Halloween like me. And so he found this, and I said, that's perfect. It's really simple. And, you know, we probably have a lot of these colors. So, and this is part of a whole series. So if you want, you can get all of these by Lizzie Kate and then put them together or stitch them individually. So very cute. Oh, and it comes with the little buttons that you need. So very simple little chart there. Like I said, I was so overwhelmed. And everything I was picking out, I was thinking I could just get this anywhere, anytime. I wanted to find something that I hadn't seen anywhere else. And they had some old stuff like this. How long has this been there? I don't know. But the thing that I picked out, I found this and I was like, I'll just get this. It's cute. It's not very much money. I like the ship and I can change it. I can just do the ship. I can just do the house, or maybe I'll never stitch this. I don't know. But I thought it was cute. I liked the ship. It's got a little bird on it. Got several birds. But getting back to Jane Austen, putting in a poem or a sonnet or a quote or whatever. One thing that they had at Keepsakes was it looked old, pattern by the drawn thread. And it was called, I have my notes. It was called The Marriage of Minds. And on it, it's like a long rectangular sampler, and it's got some motifs, but then it also has lines from a poem. And I was reading it, I was like, this seems really familiar. And I liked it. And I was like, oh, well, you know, this is cute and I like the sentiment. But then I realized why it seemed so familiar, because it was Sonnet 116. And I've seen Sense and Sensibility like 30 times. So I remembered that it was the sonnet that Marianne Dashwood and Willoughby bonded over. And I was like, I'm not stitching this. Because I hate him. And it's a really stupid reason not to stitch something. But anyway, did you know that Emma Thompson and, is it Greg Wise are together? I just found this out. Yeah, it was weird. He's the guy who played Willoughby. I don't like him. But I love Emma Thompson, so I guess he's okay. Anyway, I saw him recently, well, within the last couple of years, I say recently, and in this movie called Effie Gray, which was good, but he was just as much of a schmuck in that. Oh, and it is ironic. I mean, if you've read Sense and Sensibility or seen the book, it is ironic that that's the sonnet that they bond over. You know, it's about staying true, and what does he do? Goes off with Miss Gray and her 50,000 pounds or whatever. So I got to decide what to put in this section here. But I've got the fabric and I've got the silks, and I hope you enjoyed my ramblings. Makes sense to me. And probably my mother, and maybe no one else. Move this stuff over here. Okay. Yeah, okay, so now on to purchases. My mom, I talked to her, so it had been a couple weeks ago. It was when we were in Cincinnati, or gonna go to Cincinnati, that's right. And she was talking about how she was looking at things online, but she doesn't want to buy me anything else because she doesn't know what I have at this point. And I said, well, you know, if you really want to buy something, you could just buy fabric, because I'll always use the fabric. If you buy me a chart and I already have the chart, well, yeah, what am I going to do with a duplicate of the same chart, right? But you can always buy me fabric. And so then the next day I wake up to a text and she was like, well, you didn't tell me exactly what fabric you wanted, so I just bought a mess from number 12, because I was telling her about how I like number 12. And so I guess she had expected me to like pick out some counts and colors and stuff and send her that info, but she just bought a mess of stuff. So she did that. And then she told me what she bought. And then the next day, I bought some stuff from Nicola at Number 12 Stitch Co. as well. Because I thought, oh, well, if I just buy it right now, then maybe she can combine it with my mom's stuff and send it all in one package. And she had actually already sent it out. She's like, oh, you have such nice mom. But no, we're really on top of things here. It's organized chaos, haha. And so I got 2 separate packages, but, and like hundreds of dollars worth of fabric. But it's very exciting. So I'll show you what my mom picked out. Lots of fabric. So this is one that I'm probably most excited about in a weird way. This is Decrepit. And all of these are 40 count except for the one at the bottom that I'll show you. But everything that my mom selected except for one thing is 40 count, which is great because it's good for all my cotton stitching, right? This is Decrepit. I was excited about this. Mom said she picked it because it describes her. Yeah, thanks, Mom. This is Antiquity. This is Antiquity. And I'll show you something that I previously completed on Antiquity. This is also 40 count. This is a Brenda Gervais Maker and Mender, I believe is the name of it. And I think it came out just earlier this year. I used the called for. And this didn't take me very long to stitch. I think I completed it in a couple of weeks. Less than a week? I don't know. It didn't take long. So this is Antiquity, 40 count. And she got an 1/8 of Decrepit, but this feels like a 1/4 of Antiquity. This is, ooh, Toasted Mallow. Let's see this. This is pretty. Let me fold it in half. Maybe you'll see the color better. Yeah, there we go. That's really pretty. It's like a buttery popcorn color. This is False Starter. So not Serial Starter. This is an 1/8. This is, if you have Serial Starter, this is more yellow, I'd say. And lighter. It's not as mottled. Okay, this is the green. This is Woodland Pine. I already have a piece of this that I got in a previous order from Nicola, and I still haven't done anything with it. But now that Morris says that he wants to do winter with me as a stitch along, he's gonna do it on a tan-ish colored linen, and I'm gonna use this. I think that would be pretty. But also, I had an idea for this as well, to, you know those prairie schooler trees, those Christmas trees, and you sort of make them into 3D trees, right? And stick them in little stands or whatever. There's one, I think there are 2 series, and I want the one, I don't know which one. I know it when I see it. I think it's the one that has like the alphabet tree and the snowflake tree. Anyway, I thought that would be really cute. I think it would be tiny on 40 because maybe Prairie Schooler calls for a lower count, like 32 or 36 or something. But I think it would be really pretty to do it on this Woodland Pine. I think that's pretty true to color. So that's nice. And then this is Wallaby, and you gotta say it like that. And this is a nice brownish color. Again, this is 40 count. It looks like Mom got me a 1/4. Is that a 1/4? 27 by 27. Whatever that is. It's pretty big. This I've used before as well, Wallaby. I stitched, I think it's Heart and Hand who did the Cuckoo Bird sampler. Is it Heart and Hand? That's what I did on Wallaby. I used Weeks Dye Works Chestnut, and so it was like tone on tone, brown on brown. It's really pretty. Now this is 46 count Serial Starter. So it's funny, I woke up that morning to my mom's text saying that she bought all this fabric for me. And then I checked my Etsy shopping cart and was like, this was sold out. Yeah, because my mom bought it. It had been sitting in my cart. Yeah, so this is Serial Starter. This is really nice. I like this. I've used this for a couple smalls. And what else did I use it for? I know a couple smalls at least. So this has some nice modeling on it. This is a nice, you know, if you want to do like an antique sampler, or make it look antique. That would be a good one. And then Mom also bought me some floss drops. She got Christmas ones. These are from Nicola. These are from number 12 Stitch Co. So she got Christmas ones. Very cute. She got these red sampler ones with a squirrel. I'm saying, I was with Ryan and the kids and some stuff and talking about a new red sampler that I want to stitch. And Ryan was like, is that like a red snapper? Because I don't know why, but whenever snapper comes up in conversation, I got to say it like that. Got to say red snapper. And then Mom got me these, but then we were talking. I talked to her after I got the package from Nicola. And she was like, yeah, I don't need those, but they have a raven on them, so they're mine. Okay, Mom, I know. And then she got me a pack of these Halloween ones. So cute. It's really funny because in my order from Nicola, I ordered 2 packs. I was like, I don't need these, but they're so cute. I love Halloween. So on my next floss tube, it's going to be Halloween Palooza. I'm going to show you all my Halloween charts and my Halloween finishes, and I'm going to have a Halloween pin. Oh, and before anybody asks, this is an extremely old Mill Hill kit, and no, you can't get it anymore. I have looked on eBay because somebody earlier had requested to know what it was, and I don't know, Mill Hill chicken. So I'll show you the few things that I got from number 12 Stitch Co. besides those 2 packs of Halloween floss drops. Now I have 3 packs. So I'm good for Halloween floss drops. And then on the back, it also is printed and has a spot for DMC numbers, but obviously use it for whatever you want. I got 46 count salted caramel. This is so pretty. Can I get the right color? Can I show you guys? It's like a golden, like a light golden honey color. It's beautiful. Buy it. You'll love it. So pretty. You know Tabby Cat, Just the Ticket? This is kind of what I expected that to be, but that is quite yellow, I feel. I will find a use for it. I have some of that, but when I opened it up, I was like, whoa, that was a yellow. This is a nice honey color. I like that. Got that. And then I got 46 count Blundstone. And I didn't know if this was going to be kind of a bluish gray or just a neutral gray. And it is more of a neutral gray, which I like. I love it. I'm trying to get you guys the true color. So it's like a true silver steely gray. I love it. And I thought it would work well if she fits, which I think she will, for Mrs. Campbell. I don't have the silks for this yet, but I can get them. But this model, even though it doesn't really look like, well, I don't know, I haven't seen it in person. This model was stitched on Wood Smoke by Tabby Cat. And when I look up Wood Smoke online, the photo looks pretty gray. So somebody tell me, do you have Wood Smoke? Does it look like this? Because I placed an order with Hobby House, as I say, and they left out Ruth Gave. But I got the fabric that I ordered. Unfortunately, they didn't have Wood Smoke in stock. But now that I have this, I think that would be a good substitution. Not like you have to actually stitch the thing on the exact color fabric that they stitched it on, but kind of figure that Nicola Parkman knows what she's doing, right? Yeah. And then the last thing I got, the last bit of fabric that I got from number 12 Stitch Co. is H&H, 46 count. And this is a nice big piece. This is 18 by 30. This is like a pinky purpley rose color. I don't know what I'm going to use it for, but I needed it. Yeah, that's cute. All right, so I have lots of fabric, but I'm not done. I have more fabric to show you. So, from Hobby House. This is 40 count prehistoric linen fat quarter by Fox and Rabbit. This I thought was going to be a pretty good, pretty true gray color. It's not. It's weird. I like it, but I bought it to do some Halloween stuff on, and I was like, oh, it's just going to be a basic gray with a little bit of modeling, but it's just going to be gray on gray, and it'll be perfect for some Halloween things I have that I want to start. But then I opened it up and I was like, this is blue. It's a bluish gray. There's the color. And I was showing Morris and he's like, oh yeah, and there's like green and purple in it too. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. So it's really pretty, but I think it's gonna be better for springtime? I don't know. I think when I find something for it, it'll hit me. Like Stampede. You know, that's like, oh, that's what I can use that fabric for. But it is 40 count, so that would be cotton stitching. And then I got 40 count Patriots Brew by R&R Reproductions. I had never gotten any R&R, so when I saw that this was in stock, I was like, let's just get it. This is a nice kind of antique-y flax color. It's pretty. I like it. And then this is another Fox and Rabbit. This is a 40 count up in the attic. And it is more mottled than I expected, but I do like it. And it will work for the pattern that I had in mind, which is Esther Clark. And I already have all the cottons for this. So I think this would be a pretty quick stitch. I like it. It's very cute. This was one that I saw in an old episode of Brenda and Laura's, and I was like, that's cute. I like the dogs. I like the little best. I like how small it is, and I like that it's all brown. I like the browns. So maybe I could have gotten a darker fabric, but I do like this. I think it'll work, and I like the color variation in this. That's that. And then I got 46 count marbled khaki linen by XG Designs. I bought this specifically for something. I can't tell you what. Need to make notes. Is there a hats that is on marbled khaki? Somebody tell me. I'm sure that's why I bought it. Yeah, maybe one of the ones that I already have kitted up. Hold on, I'm still here. Don't go away. Ha! Look at that! Right here. This is what it's for. Yes. Okay, so there we go. Whatever. Okay, so Marie-Louise Perret. I've got your silks. I've got your fabric. Let's put those together so we don't forget. Oh, it's like Christmas. Oh, isn't that funny? You know, my mom buys stuff. She'll buy stuff for Christmas throughout the year so that she doesn't have to do all her shopping in November, December. But she puts stuff away, and she'll either wrap it or she'll just wait until Christmas time to wrap it. But there's always stuff that she's like, oh my God, I forgot I bought that. And so it's not just a surprise for the person who's receiving the gift. It's also a surprise for her because she forgot that she bought it. That's funny. And the last thing I got from Hobby House, the fabric that I bought, this is a 56 count Regency linen by Seraphim, and I liked the name Regency. Yes, I like all that Jane Austen crap, so I bought this, and I do like this. This is only an 1/8. Was I not able to buy a 1/4? Because that seemed... Oh, I only bought an 1/8 because it's 56 count. That's why. You don't need a massive piece because it's 56. So I will find something spectacular to put on this, whatever. Yeah, so back to Sense and Sensibility. That's my 2 cents. If you haven't seen that Sense and Sensibility, the one with Emma Thompson and Kate Winslet and Alan Rickman and Greg Wise and Hugh Laurie and Imelda Staunton, it's a stacked cast. And it's directed by Ang Lee. It is one of my favorite films, and it is absolutely the best film adaptation of a Jane Austen novel, except for perhaps the latest Emma period. The one with Anya Taylor-Joy and Johnny Flynn. That one was really, really good. But Sense and Sensibility, I think it might still be up there. Also because I love Emma Thompson, but that's my favorite Jane Austen novel. Yeah. So just watch it. It's wonderful. Unless you don't like Jane Austen, you don't like slow, quiet romances, fine. Oh, but Hugh Grant is in it. He's so young and adorable. Okay, that might be everything that I have to show you. And we're over an hour. So this has been long enough. But I'm real, oh, one more thing. It was sitting right here. So I got this at Keepsakes. So Morris picked out 2 patterns. I picked out 1 pattern at Keepsakes. But as I said, it was very overwhelming. But when I was getting ready to check out, I saw under the register in the glass case that she had these rectangular hoops. And I had been looking for one, but they seem to be sold out online. And they're pretty pricey. So I was like, do I really need that? But when I was there, I was like, let me just get it. And I'm so glad that I got it. It was like 2.5 times as much as the last hoop I bought, the circular hoop, but I love it. I love it. It just gives me the right amount of space and it's not overly heavy. It still has that screw top. The tag said excess commodities. When you find it online, I don't know what name they're going to have given it. But one thing that the lady at Keepsakes told me is she says it's all done by hand, the bending and everything. So when you're using it, make sure that your stamp lines up. Don't try to flip this insert a different way because it won't fit properly. So make sure that your stamp matches up. And then another thing, I was using this and when I bought it, these holes here were a little rough. They were a little rough. And I had sandpaper, so I sanded it down with a very high count, fine grit sandpaper in here. But I thought I still don't want to put this on the top of my stitched pieces. And I remember months and months ago, I had seen Nicola Parkman of Hands Across the Sea. I had seen her post a photo of something that she was working on. And while I normally put this on top and stitch into this, and like this is what I see, this part, she had this on the underside, and then this is what she saw. Like, and so her work that she was stitching on was within this. And I thought that looked so weird. Why is she stitching like that? But I did it so that if there were going to be anything caught on this rough part here, that it would be the underside and not the top that I was putting all this work into. This is spring Quaker that I'm talking about. But then also, because I did it that way, because I had it stitched, or because I had the hoop, now this is gonna take me a minute, so I apologize. But I want to explain myself here. And maybe you guys already know this and it doesn't matter. But I'm not always super clear. Okay, so this is how I've been working with this hoop. The smooth insert without the screw is actually what I see. So that means that what I'm stitching on is actually recessed. It's down lower. But this is great because now when I'm finishing off a thread and securing it, it used to be such a pain when I would be trying to secure something really close to the hoop because the hoop would be in the way. But now this is so flat, the back is flat, so I can easily access everything. Oh my gosh. Things you didn't know you didn't know. So that alone has made this hoop worth it, like just figuring out that trick. Like, duh, why wasn't I stitching like that all the time? But this hoop has been very nice. It was very tight when I first got it, but just use a screwdriver, loosen it up, and now it's good to go. And I love it. So I think, you know, I'll use this one till it dies, and then I would replace it with the exact same thing because I love it. All right, I do think that that is everything that I have to show. Isn't that enough? So next time when I come back, it will be September, right? We're already almost at the end of August. So in September, I should have some fully finished pieces, hopefully, like the keeper of the pins items. I'm hoping that I can get my mom to finish those into tiny pillows. I'll bring some fabric and stuff. And then I should have a finish on spring Quaker and some more progress on Hannah Campbell and maybe another start or two in those 3 weeks. But then next time, like I said, I'm just going to show you a bunch of Halloween stuff. I've got a lot of, I love Halloween. So I've got a lot of Halloween charts and some finishes, and I'll be wearing a nice little Halloween pin that I made 20 years ago. And then I got a couple Halloween project bags that I did not need. I did not need. So if you guys, I don't know where it went. Oh. This is a bag that I showed previously. This is from Joanna 1966 on Etsy. This is French General Fabric Bleu de France. And this is a really nice bag. I'm very happy with it. It's not as tall as the Stitch Folk bag, you know, but this does work for all sorts of different things. And Hands Across the Sea will fit in this, and certainly these little booklets, these fit very easily. But I say this because, you know, Instagram suggests to you people to follow, and one of the ones that it recently suggested was Joanna. And I was like, oh, well, why wasn't I following her before? Well, this was dangerous because then I started following her and then I was going through her feed and I saw Halloween. I saw that she had bought some Halloween fabric, which is this Moda collection that I love. It's so stinking cute. And I had found it weeks ago independently, and it's like sitting in a shopping cart on my computer somewhere. I'm like, what am I going to do with this? I can't quilt. I don't know how to sew. I can't do anything with it. But it's so cute. And so when I saw that she bought it, I commented. I was like, I'll look out to see if you make any project bags out of these. And then the next day, she responded to my comment. She's like, they're in my Etsy shop. So I bought that. So cute. So cute. So I'm very excited to get it. It's already shipped. It's already on its way. But I just love Halloween. And I don't like the gory Halloween, Friday the 13th. I like the cutesy Halloween. I'll show you a bunch of Just Nan Halloween stuff that I have. That's really cute. And as I say, Mill Hill does cute Halloween as well. So, I'm very hungry. I can hear my tummy rumbling. So time for me to go. Stop talking and be done. But I'll talk to you guys in 3 weeks, and happy stitching.